Welcome to Cavan TV's News and Views, Ireland's first live web TV current news programme with over 2 million viewers worldwide, and we are on a web TV site near you. I'm Áine Duffy and we bring the programme to you weekly on Fridays 7 to 8 Greenwich Mean Time. Each week we take a look at what is going on in the county and we invite guests to chat live in the studio. If you have an event you want us to know about or an issue you want discussed, please email us at drumlinmedia@gmail.com. So, anything interesting going on? Please do let us know. Now, you can watch Cavan TV 24/7 at the following link. Take a note of this. It's new.livestream.com. You can download that app onto your phone and you can see Cavan TV anywhere, anytime in the world. Okay, so it's time of the year when the students go back to school after the summer holidays, and unfortunately this year we did not have a good summer, so hopefully we'll remain hopeful. However, we will remain hopeful that we will have a better autumn. I'd like to say thank you to our resident photographer Martin Sheridan, who sends us in a photograph each week for our backdrop, and I'd like to mention as well that you too can do that. If you want to send us in your photograph to drumlinmedia@gmail.com, tell us the story and will be posted as the backdrop to the programme. So this week, moving on, we would like to say that congratulations to Paul Brady, the Mullimore Horn man, who was world champion for the 5th consecutive time. So well done, and I would like to say that you can see that he was on A Question of Sport last week, and you can see the homecoming of Paul Brady. In Cavan this week as well, there's been great relief as the 37-year-old Aisling Brady McCarthy is released without charge in the case of the 1-year-old baby girl who died in her care. Aisling had been illegally working as a nanny in Massachusetts since 2002. She has been in custody for the last 2.5 years while the case was being prepared to go to trial. However, all of this time Aisling protested her innocence. On Monday last, the District Attorney, Marion Ryan, announced a null prosequi as the medical examiner of the case revealed uncertainties in the prosecution's case. Aisling was released last Monday and deported back to Ireland. So to her family, friends and neighbours who supported and trusted her, it is an end to the ordeal that had been an unbelievable nightmare for her and her family. On an international level, the images shown to the world of the plight of refugees fleeing Syria have caused shock in all the countries of the world. Wednesday evening's press photos of a little 3-year-old boy, Syrian boy, dead on a beach caused total outroar. It brought home to the world the present-day atrocities of war. It shows that man's inhumanity to man never changes. I'd like to say, okay, and moving on, this is the point in the programme where we like to say hello to all our viewers all over the world who log on and watch us tonight and during the week. They can see what's going on in Cavan. And you too can email us your news from anywhere in the world at drumlinmedia@gmail.com. And this evening I'd like to say a big hello to Colette Clayle of Colette Clayle Art. Originally from Cavan, Colette says she enjoys the programme and likes to watch on and see what's happening in Cavan. So let's go now and have a look at what's going on in some of the local towns. You can learn to jive in St. Joseph's Hall, Ballyjames-Duff, and there's a 5-week course starting on Thursday the 10th of September at 9 o'clock. You just go along, you don't need a partner. In Killashandra, this Saturday sees the Loop of the Lakes. That's a 7k trial and a family fun walk, and that's at 5 p.m. in the evening. Registration is all during the day in the GAA grounds, and the funds from that, it's €10 per entry. The funds from that go to Pieta House. In Cootehill, in the Credit Union on Tuesday mornings from 10:30 to 1 o'clock, Coon invites anybody who suffered cancer for a tea, a chat and emotional support. Also there you will get some complimentary therapies, and also to let you know that this is all free and it's also a confidential service. Den is having a 5k fun walk. This Sunday you register at 1:30 and the race is at 2 o'clock, and funds there go to Cancer Home Care Services. Come Cook With Us, that's on tonight in the Slieve Russell Hotel. Celebrity chefs Joe Shannon from Ireland AM and Frank Ford from Joe Duffy's Fix It Friday programme. They are going to meet with 4 local people and they're going to have a cook-off. That's tonight, and the admission is €10 and that goes to St. Luke's Cancer Care, so that is really well worth supporting. The Loft Youth Cafe has a drop-in day for teenagers. That's on Wednesday evenings at 7 to 9. They can play pool, play Xbox, have a coffee, and that's all in the Rescue Centre in Killashandra, and that's all free as well. In Blackline, the 68th annual Cleanish Parish Sports are on this Saturday and Sunday, and they are taking place at the Cottage Meadow. It's fun for all the family, and admission is on the gate, and all families are welcome. Now, it's great to see that the Town Hall is being used as an arts hub, and in October we've been informed that there will be a big event planned to showcase the Town Hall as an arts centre, so we will have further information on that as it gets nearer to the time. Something very interesting in Belturbet, excavations of the Town Hall during renovation threw up some very interesting historical finds. It's all been put together and will be put on display in the Civic Centre in Belturbet. Michael O'Droma from the Wolfhound Archaeology Association will give a talk on the opening of this exhibition, and it opened last Friday on the 28th and continues for the next couple of weeks. Out there in Mullahoran, Positive Age have an outing to the Red Hook Centre in Kilnalek. That's next Wednesday, August the 17th, and the bus leaves the Parochial Hall at 1:45. Drumgoon hosts trad music sessions on Wednesday nights in Gallenray House, every Monday night in Gallenray House. It starts at 9 o'clock and all musicians are welcome. Citizens Information Outreach Service will resume in Virginia Health Service on Tuesday mornings. It's from 11:30 to 12:30 and anybody can attend. Also in Virginia, Margaret Neill, and Margaret is an author and a playwright, and she is facilitating a 10-week creative writing workshop that's starting next Monday night, September the 14th, from 7:30 to 9:30, and you must contact Margaret to book your place, and her number there is 049 854 7525 to get your place. Well, folks, you know that this is the Electric Picnic Weekend, and great excitement as Áine Cahill and our band Spam Turner are playing 3 gigs there, so best of luck, Áine. Now, this evening, just around this time, Kate Ennals, and Kate is a Ghana lady. She lives in Ghana. She is a poet and a short story writer. She's launching her first book of poetry this evening in the Town Hall. It's entitled At the Edge. A fellow poet, Noel Monaghan, will do the honours, and that's on right now, so do go out and get that book. It's called At the Edge. And a note to put in your diary is that next Friday night is National Culture Night. And that takes me to my first guests in the studio. I have with me 2 artists. I've got Kim Doherty, who is an artist facilitator, and Jackie O'Neill, who is an artist. Very welcome, ladies, and thank you for coming in.
Hi, Áine.
You're both artists. You are taking part in Culture Night, and we're going to talk about the Culture Night programme that is going on in Cavan. Okay, so we'd just like to say that Culture Night, this is the 4th year that it has taken place in Cavan, and it's national, and it's nationwide, and it's the 4th year it's been done in Cavan, so great stuff. Both artists, Kim, you are an artist facilitator.
That's right. So basically I'm a visual artist, but I'm also a facilitator. So essentially what that means is that it's my job to inspire the artist in you. So I work with lots of different groups. Most recently I've been working with Ballyjamestuff Senior Social Club in St Joseph's Hall. That's on a Friday. For Culture Night I've been working with Youth Reach, and Youth Reach are opening their doors on Culture Night. That's at 11 a.m. And basically what I've been doing there is actually posing the question, so what does Culture Night mean to you, and what does art mean to you? Because I think that's really a sense of what Culture Night is all about. It's opening up access to the arts for different groups. So we've been exploring, so the first thing people say to me is generally I can't draw, and for me creativity is not necessarily about drawing. So the young people there said they wanted to work in clay, so they produced some clay heads. And then we also looked at doing some drawings as well. We did touch on drawing and painting, and then we've just most recently been discussing music. So there'll be a little installation on music and thoughts on art on Culture Night, for everyone to see on the morning for Culture Night.
Okay, so we were speaking earlier before the programme, and you made the very interesting point when you say, you know, you bring people along, you talk about art, and the first thing you say is, oh, I can't draw. But you can actually get them around to thinking in a different way of art, like even bringing in music.
Yeah, so I guess how it works, I've completed the principles of art therapy, and I'm doing a master's in art therapy at the moment, so I'm a huge believer in the therapeutic aspect of the arts. So how I suppose I coax out someone's creativity is I would have a number of different exercises. So it's all about making the person comfortable. We all have an inner critic. And I suppose we can be critical of each other. That's in our nature. So the main thing I do is try and take away that inner critic. You have to set up a safe space. So what I've come up with is called the Inner Artist Programme. I'll actually be running that in the library from Saturday week, which is Saturday the 12th of September. So people can contact me on my Facebook about that. So that's Kim Doherty Art. But yeah, increasing someone's confidence is a huge thing. I find materials like clay, different things like that are important, but there's also certain metaphors that we would use. So, you know, so if people want to find out more about that, they should definitely contact me.
Okay, so you bring out the inner artist.
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly.
Jackie, you are an artist, Jackie, and Dotty was a deer.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so Dotty was a deer was a concept I came up with when I was working in London, and I wasn't happy in my normal 9-to-5 job. I'd studied art. Graduated, went to London, interned in the fashion industry and ended up in an office job in the end to survive. So yeah, I just very naturally wanted to always go back to it and planned Dotty was a deer in my job in London.
Yeah.
So I saved and I gave it all up and I made some sketches, gave up the job and I moved home to Cavan during the third flat and I exhibited with Rianta. And it just hasn't stopped since. The orders came in. I print onto fabric. I print illustrations onto fabric and I also print them onto paper as limited edition prints for a more affordable option. So it's textiles and illustration. Started off very light-hearted subjects. The last subject was about Cavan folklore. This, you know, the one before that was about Japanese culture. I'd been to Japan, and this one that I'm working on for Culture Night is my 5th collection, and it's called Living Thing, and it's very broad. It's about the curiosities of life and patterns in nature.
Okay.
We're kind of looking at
We've
patterns.
got some images of yours actually coming up, but we'll go through them in a while. But now you're both artists, and you know, tell me where art started for you both. Whoever wants to talk about that. You know, when you go to school and you get a crayon into your hand, when do you know that? Yeah, this is something I really want to do.
Well,
this is my special thing that I'm good at.
Okay. Well, I believe we are all that person, to be honest. Where I come from, there's
sorry, I have to tell you. I really cannot draw. I drew windows one time for a house and the guy thought they were gates.
Yeah, but what happens though actually, Áine, I think, is that other interests take over. Like, we are also creative, and especially as children, I think it's because we start listening to that inner critic, or we listen to the influences of others, and then there are other interests that take over, whether it's sport or whether it's reading, etc. And then you also have to have huge belief in what you're doing. You have to have belief in the gift that you have, or it takes someone who has an interest in you to maybe nurture that talent. A good teacher or somebody who'll nurture that talent and give you positive feedback. Like, positive feedback is a huge thing. But you're right, it's the enjoyment that you get from the art that keeps you going. I mean, I can remember there's certain pictures that are still very fresh in my mind from my childhood, pieces that I would have made, and so yeah, it's about enjoying what you're doing.
Could you crush somebody? Like, I know, you know, people are singing in school, and I think, you know, like, I think everybody can sing. Some people say to me, I can't sing, and I said, I bet in 5 minutes I get you singing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It mightn't be like Celine Dion, but I mean, you'd be able to sing, but they say, no, a teacher told me in school to stand in the choir, not open my mouth.
Yeah.
And that knocked them
terrible.
back. And they would never, I know one girl, and she will not sing a note because she was just so terrified in case the teacher said, don't sing.
Yeah.
So can the same happen with art
I know
as well,
for me,
Jackie?
yeah, my brother was a very realist, someone I really looked up to, a great artist growing up. He was able to paint like a picture. And I wasn't, but yet I was confused because I was creative and I knew I was creative and I had all these ideas, but I wasn't a realist drawer. And it's only when I got to be an adult that I realised that's okay, to embrace my scribbliness and my clumsiness and, you know, in my artwork.
Surely two artists are never going to do the same piece of work anyway, would
yeah.
they?
Yeah.
So it's not about having it look like a photograph, otherwise what would be the point of it?
Yeah.
So for me, I embraced my demons, and that's when it started to get interesting. For me, that's when I hit a point where I started creating something individual, and I've just went on that thing. And my best work is when I don't worry about the outcome or the rules. and really let go and try and play like a
So
child
take the
plays.
criticism out of it.
Yeah, and that's when you surprise yourself and you come up with something really fantastic. And I believe everybody has that in them.
But there is a little thing about art, and I appreciate art when I see it, and I know art, but I can't do anything myself. But sometimes you'd be looking at a picture and it's like just somebody got a paintbrush and skited a canvas with paint, and everybody's going, wow, and you're going like, why can I not see the wow here? Can you explain that?
I think that's because everyone's perception is different, and so probably the person who skited the paint or whatever, there's some part of that picture that resonates with you, and that's where beauty is in the eye of the beholder, really. So like everything is speaking, like we all like different songs, for example, so it's all down to personal preference. Yeah.
But then art isn't as big, like not as many people are artistic as can sing, we'll say. Art is a little bit more special really to be able to draw than sing, isn't it not? I would think so.
No, I think they're all different types of arts, and as I say, you're going to resonate with different people, but there is a special quality. There is a special quality to every person's work, but it's also important to look at the process. Like I think maybe when you talk about the splash of the paint, you kind of don't consider that process is onerous, for example, whereas when you look at the Mona Lisa or whatever, you can appreciate that so many hours must have went into producing that. So then the process is important.
And that's an interesting one as well. I've often had people ask me, how long did it take you to paint that particular piece? And that's such a difficult question to answer. Because it actually might only take me 5 minutes, honestly, to create some of the most popular pieces. But that was after months of me getting it wrong and playing with the concept in my head and sitting over a drawing for 20 hours that didn't work. And then scrapping it, and then in 5 minutes it just comes.
Okay, I think we'll be able to bring some images maybe of Jackie's art up on the screen, but I'll ask you this question, Jackie. We were talking earlier, this is your stuff.
Yeah, that's
Kim,
actually...
we'll talk about this first as it's coming up on the PowerPoint.
So this is from Youth Reach. So this is the clay work that we would have done with some of the young people there. So I would have a number of young people, Cheyenne, Tracy Marie, Martin. There was between 6 and 10 people were working with me, and then the actual installation that we will show on the morning will have a lot more feedback from the different individuals within Youth Reach.
And moving on with the slides there. Yeah.
So we did also look at some mandala work. So we had looked at some mandalas before this piece was actually produced. So that's all and then you'd notice all the different personalities in those heads, wouldn't you?
Yeah, nothing's the same.
No.
So these are people that never had their hands on art before were able to create this, is it?
I had never worked with this particular group in Youth Reach, and Youth Reach don't actually have an art class, but earlier in the year I worked with them through Cavan Arts, and we made pieces through trash. You know, we actually got, from Coronnier. Now there's some of the mandalas that were made. So the whole idea with this was that we were exploring different aspects of art so that they could find their own true voice and speak to me, I suppose, on what art meant to them.
So tell me this now. Tell me this, Kim. So when you went with these people and you did this course with them, did they have a totally different attitude at the end of what you were doing than when at the beginning said, I can't do anything, I can't paint, I can't draw, that's it. So they looked at art differently, and maybe they had an interest that they knew they never had.
Yeah, certainly they considered it differently. Like these particular young people told me that they hadn't heard of Culture Night, and as we mentioned, Culture Night has been in Cavan over the last 4 years. Yeah, so it's all about, I suppose, extending the arts out to different audiences, but it's also important to consider their opinions on art and what does art mean to them. So for young people now, YouTube is a huge platform. You know, again, their own music, but these particular mediums, I thought it was interesting that they wanted to work in clay. So the clay was all about the sensory experience, you know, getting their hands dirty, and like that we looked at the mandalas and actually painting. So the process, as I say, is important, because especially for me, the process is really important from a healing and also from an outlet point of view, and that's why it is so good for your health.
And maybe people didn't know that this could, you know,
that it could make them feel so good.
Make them feel so good. Jackie, we were speaking just before you came on, and your concept and your idea of looking things is absolutely amazing. And maybe we were able to shoot up your art on the screen now. Look at this. You come from a sort of a mythology, what is it, mythical sort of,
Yeah,
dreamy kind of a
I
world.
always
But
go
it
back
means a
that
lot,
way, whether
yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
or not. This is from the new exhibition. This work isn't out yet, so it's going to be...
so this is the first on Cavan TV.
Yeah,
Great,
so
good
this
stuff.
is going to be printed onto fabric with embroidery on it as part of my new exhibition, Living Thing. I'm collaborating with Joe Doherty, a local woodworker. We've worked together in the past. More so him as a craftsman, my ideas, but this time it's both our ideas, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all about patterns around nature.
Yeah, explain your thing, your cycle
So
of
it's
nature.
called
there,
a living thing, and it's about living the circle of life. Patterns in mythology, patterns in nature, patterns in maths, and how everything comes around a unified centre or a duality or a hexagon shape. So it's just very interesting how it all comes down to maths and pattern. That image, the two images, the first one and the second one, are around the patterns of plants, but also I read about the hawthorn tree and how, I don't know what year it was, but in Ireland it was a tradition to bathe in the dew of hawthorn flowers if you were a woman, because it will make you more beautiful, it was believed. And for a man to wash his hands in the hawthorn flowers would make him fantastic at his craft.
So just to get
So
this
that's
straight,
a pattern in nature.
So just to get this straight, that's going to be embroidered.
That's going to be printed onto fabric
and
printed
embroidered.
or stretched in frames that Joe was making out of wood, and all the frames are going to be some sort of oval or round shape because of the mandala theory, or
That's beautiful.
and yeah, they're going to be embroidered. This is another. There's going to be 13 new prints of mine, but also sculptures of Joe's. This is
so what's going on? There's a little girl there, is she?
This is about the curiosities of life. She's looking in the puddle. Curious about water.
What's the figures there? What are they?
That's the Fibonacci sequence. So apparently everything can come down to this sequence. I'm not a mathematical genius. I'm only getting into all of this. So this is the spiral in life, and a lot of our work is going to be around this spiral. So Joe is making a bench out of oak, and it's going to be a spiral shape, but people can sit at different points of the bench and view the artwork from all around the room. The exhibition will go on outside, then out to the courtyard, lots of little hidden treasures in amongst the rubble and the urban jungle, as we're calling it. We're going to have lots of little installations hidden in all different places. We're going to be featuring work from Paul Hughes and Turlock O'Brien, who are very new graduates. Turlock in photography, Paul in the wood furniture design course in Cavan. We both found pieces of theirs that were really in keeping with this theme. So the main work is going to be myself and Joe, but the two lads are also featuring. We're really excited about the exhibition.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Culture Night is coming up. That's next Friday night, Friday the 18th, sorry. And you both are taking part, you both are doing things on the night, and there's a great program there from as well out about so two girls. I know there is so much on, and you did say Jackie, that somebody can make a trail on the night if they wanted to see a lot
There's
of
29
things.
events,
Okay,
21 different venues throughout the county. You're not going to be able to go to everything. That's like, I know last year there was so much on.
so much on.
It's
It's
kind
all
of-
the same night. And that's
Yeah,
it.
and then there's loads of
Yeah.
nights where there'll be nothing on. But you can go on the website and make a little plan for yourself, and it's really fun to do a
Okay,
little
but just give us a
art
little
trail.
window of some of the things that you've pointed out there. You've made some
I think
notes.
Kim's
of
going to
this,
go first.
Yeah, so obviously I've mentioned that Youth Reach is open at 11 o'clock in Mine Hall, but also just nearby at 2 p.m, the Traveller Primary Healthcare team, they're showing their craft work. So the bungalow is open at 2 p.m. And then the backyard, again in the same area in Mine Hall, from 4 to 6, the Margaret Webber School of Dance is on. So there's a spectrum of dance that includes sean-nós, but also dance from the Filipino community. Then the library also have a really big programme. There's access to your genealogy there in the genealogy office. That's from 6:45 p.m. Sally O'Dowd, local artist, also has some line drawings on display there. And then Chris Thor McCarthy has a lecture on Cavan folklore, which will be really interesting. And he's accompanied by Cavan Kiltus. Jackie's obviously mentioned her event with Joe Doherty at 7:30 p.m.
Where's
That's
yours
at the
again?
Teachers'
That's the
Centre.
Teachers Training Centre, which
That's
is the old
bang
St.
on the
Clair's.
middle of the town, so
Yeah.
you can't miss it, folks. It's bang on in the middle
Straight
of the town.
across
Just
from
pop in the
Cavan Gate.
street. Just
Yeah.
pop in there. Great.
Yeah, and then so down in Thomas Ashe Street, Marlon Gaffney has a projection, and that's all about time and landscape. So then also Cavan Cultus have a choral recital then, and that's in St Clair's Chapel. So that's just obviously beside Tesco car park there. That's 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Then the Town Hall again have a big programme. We have Tapas Theatre 8 to 9:15 p.m. Cormac McCann also has music on there. There's also screening and performance by Philip Doherty, so after all his success with Pilgrim in Edinburgh. And then there's another fringe event then in Blessings. So there's the launch of Puka's new album, and that's later in the night.
That is a fantastic programme. That's just the touch of it.
That's more like the centre of town that Kim has covered.
Exactly.
Maybe someone wants to just go a little bit further out and concentrate on one thing, and I'm going to go through some of those things. The Kilmore by Dusk, an evening of poetry with Heather Brett and Noel Monaghan in Kilmore Cathedral. There's also a historical walk at the Kilmore Cathedral as well by Wendy Swan, and the Kilmore Choir will be playing. That's at 8 p.m. At Kilmore Cathedral. 8 to 9:30, Drum Lane Abbey in Milltown. Milltown Cultus and local historian Oliver and Aidan Brady are given a historical walk in that area. Or in Dowra in West Cavan at 5 to 9 p.m. Jim Fee, the potter, is launching an exhibition of pottery in Dowra Courthouse. At 8:30 in Mullaboy Hall in Drung, the Orange Lodge Nya session, Mullaboy Band, Martin Donoghue and Friends. That's at 8:30. 9:15 in Cootehill in Gallen Ray House, a taste of the Ed Reevy collection, which is traditional music. 8 to 10 p.m. in Mulla, Castletown Accordion Orchestra in Mulla Hall. 7 p.m. in Ballyjim Suffolk County Museum.
Oh yeah, that's a great place to go.
Yeah, it's fantastic, just the museum anyway.
And anybody can go in and see all of these things on www.culture.night. There's great stuff happening around the town. And Jackie, you've mentioned, have you one last thing?
Yeah, Imelda Bradley will be launching an exhibition in Ballyduff and at 7 p.m. and then Fiona Marie Fitzpatrick and the Darling Buds are playing at 8 p.m. And then Kinnalek Railtug Centre, Kinnalek and Crosskeys, Cultus, a night of tunes and recollection. And one final thing, Virginia Rammer Theatre, that was at 8 to 10 p.m. Kinnalek. Rammer Theatre in Virginia at 7:30 are having local Virginians directed by Vincent Lee. The piece is called Paint Me a Picture of Ireland. It's about immigration, they're including the local St Mary's School. They're working with the local St Mary's School, and they're working with Tracy Taft dancers. And then I'd just like to mention that with my own exhibition, Living Thing, at 7:30, we're going to have a drinks reception and some harp music by Cavan Donoghue, and it's going to be actually out in the courtyard dealing with the light at the time of 7:30. So, you know,
brilliant stuff.
No closing
Great
time
stuff,
for that.
Yeah. As you say that if anybody should get the programme, make a trail and decide on what they're going to do, because these things will go on at time. And one thing you want to point out as well, Kim, is that all these exhibitions and all these things are free of charge. There's no admission on anything like that.
Absolutely, that's the main thing about culture, and it's free of charge. It's to open up access to the arts to everybody.
So well done. That's great work. A great work done there by Katrina O'Reilly to get all this.
Yeah, we really need to say thanks to Katrina because
to get all this together and get it coordinated.
It's growing
like
every year, and there's a great buzz about town.
Yeah, and also people can continue with the arts and keep an eye open and follow you and follow you. You were telling me about your page, your website. It's
Dotti was a dare, DOTTIWA.
It's under construction at the moment, but it's there.
Under
for future reference.
Facebook, for the moment, but for future reference, the shop will be up next month, and anyone from all over the world can order my work online, and I can post it. And my exhibition runs for 10 days. I don't know if I mentioned that. So if you can't make it in on Culture Night, because there's so many events.
So it'll be open in
12 to 7,
the middle of the street,
10 days. Yeah.
Well done. Great
and
stuff,
then if people want to work with me, I'm in the library from the 12th of September, and that's the Unleash Your Inner Artist programme.
And just to mention that, Kim, that is anybody, any age, young and old can do that. Retired, whatever.
No, age does not matter. Anyone who wants to unleash their inner artist. Or
do they have to book a place with you? Are there only so many places?
Yes, places are limited, so they do need to book with me. So if you go on to my Facebook page, Kim Doherty Art, there is details there, and contact me directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done, ladies. Thank you very much. Culture Night in Cavan next next Friday night. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And folks, again, if you want to see again, have a look at the programme. You go on to www.culturenight.ie 2015. And well done. Thank you very much, ladies, and the best of luck with your exhibition and your workshops. Thank you.
Thank you, Áine.
Just stay with us. We're going to go for a break, and we're going to have a chat and a rundown of politics, of the week in politics with John Wilson. So do come back.
Cavan Crystal Hotel provides 4-star accommodation on the edge of Cavan town. Located conveniently on the Dublin Road, just 60 minutes away from Dublin. With 85 beautifully appointed bedrooms and a number of luxurious suites. We offer wedding packages. With our one wedding a day policy, we guarantee to make yours a special day. Enjoy a meal at our award-winning Opus One restaurant, or have a drink in the atrium or residence bars. Feeling energetic? You can work out in Zest Health and Fitness Club, or maybe pamper yourself and visit Utopia Health and Beauty Clinic, or Avita's Hair Salon, both located on site. Situated only 5 minutes from Cavan Town Centre and local amenities. Cavan Crystal Hotel, gateway to Ireland's Lakelands.
Hello, y'all. Hello, y'all. This is Prince Michael. You watch on Cavan TV. Catch ya!
And welcome back. You're watching Cavan TV's News and Views. Thanks to the two girls, Kim Doherty and to Jackie O'Neill, telling us all about Culture Night next week, and that came from two artists themselves. And also I'd like to say best wishes to Kate Ennals, and Kate was a presenter here on Cavan TV, and tonight Kate is launching her book, her poetry book, At the Edge, so she's doing that right now in the town hall, so best wishes, Kate. And of course you can go out and buy Kate's poetry book At the Edge in all good bookshops. Okay, so we're going to have a look or a review and a quick touch on the week and maybe the last month in politics. And my goodness, in the last week alone, just watching images on Facebook and on TV and flashed all over the world, it's a dreadful scene. So I have my political correspondent here in the studio. I've got John Wilson. John, you're very welcome back. Thanks for coming in this evening, John. I know you're very tired today because you've had a hectic week. But anyway, John, yeah, this, like, I mean, now we're just going now, like, oh my God, refugees, migrants, asylum seekers are real people when we realise, when we see a little dead 3-year-old boy in his little clothes dead on the beach, we're going, my goodness, they're real people, this is dreadful.
But unfortunately, I know that the image of that little child dead on the beach in Bodrum in Turkey, it has really touched millions of people throughout the world and kind of you know, but unfortunately...
Isn't it dreadful, John, that it actually, like, just getting back to the ordinary stuff of daily life, isn't it dreadful that it gets to something like that? We have to actually see somebody being killed or see a horrible image to make us realise that what we hear in the news is real, isn't it?
Man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
unfortunately,
that answers a lot.
thousands of people have been drowned over the last couple of years, Áine, sadly and unfortunately, you know.
Okay, so John, just for the there's a lot of stuff been bandied out there in the media, and I even saw on Michael Harding's Facebook page today where he blogged, and he said, will somebody please tell RTE the difference between a migrant and a refugee? Now, I've got these three terms here in front of me. I've got migrant, a refugee, and an asylum seeker. Now, just really, for the sake of, like, in short, simple terms, explain.
I mean, you know, the term refugee, it's somebody seeking refuge
from their country,
from conflict.
Because they're afraid of conflict, war, poverty.
Death. Primarily, you know.
Okay, so there are people who've had to leave their country and they have to get out of their country, and they're called refugees in other countries. I mean,
you know, well, I mean, they leave their own country and seek refuge in a...
somewhere else.
In a safer environment, Áine.
Okay, and a migrant...
well, migrants really, you know...
People who move anyway.
Yeah, well, we hear the term economic migrant, people who leave their own countries.
Which kind of it's intertwined, because you could accuse them of saying, well, they can't make a living in their own country, so they're going to get out. You could put the same term on them anyway.
Well, I mean, if you can't survive in your own country, I mean, you have to seek...
Okay, asylum seekers, and you know that we have got
asylum seekers,
loads
people
of asylum seekers in this
be
country.
refugees,
Muslims, for instance.
Refugees looking for asylum in a host country.
And they could be waiting there for 2 or 3 years before they get their papers.
We have this horrific situation in Ireland of direct provision, where people are confined in, well, I suppose they have been described as modern-day concentration camps, but Mosney, for example, is full of people there, and I mean, I said a lot of these people have been there for many, many years.
They can't work, they just live in single rooms.
Their applications for asylum should be dealt with within a few months, they shouldn't be left there for multiple years. I mean, you have families, you have children going to school now that were born within the confines of the direct provision centres, and that is inhumane. Okay,
to get back to the Syrian atrocity, I know you were in Shallonside Northern Sound during the week, and you want to speak about the elephant in the room.
Well, I mean, the elephant in the room is, my God, anybody watching what's going on in the Mediterranean. You'd want to have a heart made of stone not to be touched. But the reality is, Chancellor Merkel has criticised the Irish for not being proactive enough in assisting with the Mediterranean crisis. We do not need lectures from Angela Merkel or from anybody else. The Irish people have a proud record of humanitarian acts over the decades. Now, the reality is, and the elephant in the room in relation to what's going on at the moment, is people are afraid of the spread of Islamic fundamentalism. ISIS and Islamic fundamentalism are the greatest threat to our civilization since Hitler. That's the reality. Okay. And I would encourage, I know, I have no doubt that we will play our part in assisting in dealing with this crisis. Okay, but I think it's very, very important, and this is very important, Áine. It's very, very important that anybody being brought into this country should be vetted, that these people are vetted very, very carefully, and any of these people that are radicalised or become radicalised should be removed from Ireland forthwith.
Let me ask you a question there. Do we have a refugee policy in this country?
Well, we have the asylum policy, the direct provision centres, the Doherty. The nearest one is in Monaghan.
Between an asylum
but the thing is, an asylum seeker is a refugee who's looking for permanent asylum in the country they end up in.
So do we have a policy to deal with these refugees? Like, there's a disaster in the world at the moment. I think we played a part in taking.
Not on this scale, Áine. This is all new territory.
Do we have a policy at all?
Well, our policy has not been very successful over the last number of years, and the likes of Mosney, and there's a place in Monaghan as well, where people, they live in direct provision centres. Now, this is the biggest humanitarian crisis I think ever you know, in living memory.
Okay, so let's look at Ireland at the moment.
Yeah.
Never ever have we had so much homeless on the streets in Dublin as it is at the moment. Families living in bed and breakfasts.
The new homeless, Áine.
The new homeless.
These are not the usual people that one would expect.
Do you want to give a background on them then, just for
these are people who have been put out of accommodations. You know, an awful lot of distressed properties where the owners got into debt with their lenders, and the houses were sold and the tenants were evicted. That's happening.
Okay.
That's happening wholesale
now,
around the country.
Things have been changing over the years.
Basis.
There is no accommodation out there, and it is at a peak price. It is at, you know, you can ask your price now.
Oh yeah.
But one of the things that has been sort of responsible for that is the fact that bed sits are now like they're, you know, health and safety, they're not allowed anymore.
Absolutely.
And that
ludicrous decision.
A ludicrous decision.
Oh my
but
God,
that
yes.
has been, you know, that has contributed to the
it has to a certain extent, Áine. I know. I mean, bed sits are not ideal accommodation, but I mean, before the government decided to abolish and to do away with bed sits, they should have had, you know, there should have been some forward planning and arrangements should have been put in place. To enable these people.
So there we can see why there is a glut now in the market, but certainly from students are you know, are suffering because of that as well, because bed sits was always the student.
Well, I mean, I believe I believe that the government should introduce rent controls.
Okay, so tell me how now we can combat the problems. Okay, rent control be one thing.
Well, we need to bring in rent controls to enable people to afford basic living, you know, basic accommodation. There are rent controls in Berlin and Germany. I believe there are rent controls in Germany. Okay. I think that we need to build, I mean, the social housing programme ceased a number of years ago, and there haven't been very many social houses, if any, built over the last 6 or 7 years. I think
now, John, that there's an election in the offing,
yeah.
in the air. There's a scent of an election coming up. Could be sooner rather than later. But you know, like, is anybody working on these plans, or is there anything?
Well, we have proposals.
It's all right saying these things.
There are proposals to start building again, but unfortunately, it'll take some considerable time to kind of. I mean, all of these plans have to go through the full rigours of our. You know, all of these plans to build social housing will have to go through the full rigours of our planning process, which will take some considerable time.
Yeah.
We need to fast track a building programme, but there are over 600 and in the region of in excess of 600 families.
I know.
Who have been made homeless
exactly.
in Dublin alone this year.
That's getting back to the refugee thing, John.
Well, yeah.
What can we do? We saw this image of the child on the beach, and we said, okay, we've
Áine,
got to do something. We've got to do, but what can we do?
Well, hold on.
We've got our own people.
This
not
problem.
living in houses.
This is not a straightforward problem. I mean, migrants. I mean, I have no doubt that we will play our part. But the reality is, who's going to pay for all of this? I hear today that the Taoiseach has announced that we're going to take in the region of maybe 1,800 to 2,000 people. Who's going to pay for all of this?
And if they stay, then they're going to be here. More children, they're going to go into our systems, our hospital system, our health system, our school system.
Of course, yeah.
You know, this is all not gone. Okay. But we can't turn, but still at the same time, people are looking there, they can't turn their back on this.
In no way would I describe myself as a little Irelander. But the reality is we must take care of our own people. I'm not saying that we can't play our part in assisting our fellow European members in dealing with this problem.
Are we not being looked upon, and we have been criticised by Angela Merkel?
Listen to me. We are not going to take. We don't need lectures from Angela Merkel. Okay, that's for a start. We are a sovereign people. We are a sovereign people, right? Now, we have to take care of our own people as well. Now, as I said, that doesn't mean that we should exclude offering any assistance to some of these people who have been absolutely, I mean, who have gone through horrendous pain and suffering over the last couple of years. We should remember also, Áine, that there are in excess of 400,000 people on waiting lists to see consultants for medical treatment. I'll just give you one example, and this is a real person, not one of the imaginary people that Enda Kenny talks about. There's a man in this town, and he has
who
shall remain nameless. Yes, he has a tumour, a lump, a growth on the side of his head. Okay, now this sounds kind of very. I hope I don't sound too vulgar, but it's, let's say, it's bleeding and there's other kind of pus and whatever emanating from this wound, right? He's been told recently that before he can receive any, that it will be at least 12 months before he will receive any form of treatment.
Why is
from a
that? Because he
consultant,
doesn't have
right?
private.
He doesn't have health insurance, right? He was told that he'll be on a waiting list for at least 12 months before the problem
So
is
our
up.
health system isn't working.
Before the operation is carried out. This man can't wait for 12 months. He's in pain, okay? He's after going on and he's going along and he's after borrowing several €1,000 and he's after organising to have a private operation. That is unacceptable in 2015. That is unacceptable, right? If he had waited for the 12 months or the 18 months, the problem, I have no doubt, would have gotten worse.
Okay, so that's just one case
Áine, we're a small nation, okay, and we cannot solve the problems of the world. And I know there's this hoary old chestnut, but the Irish went off in their thousands to America and all over the world. We never colonised anybody in this country. Our people were driven out, right, to try and to basically survive.
Okay, but we went abroad and we worked.
We lost millions. Okay. We lost half of our population during the famine, around the famine time, and subsequently. Okay. And we have to apologise to nobody, Áine. We're a sovereign people.
Okay, John, we'll go on to the Fennelly Tribunal or whatever, and the findings were released this week about the retirement or the early retirement of
Martin Callanan. Well, Justice Fennelly.
Now you're well in there. You know exactly what was going on. You actually called for his resignation actually at the time.
Well, you know, I must say, I mean, Martin Callanan should have been dismissed after he described the actions of myself and Sergeant McCabe as disgusting. Now, well, I mean, that's fine, but at that time he wasn't dismissed. And the Taoiseach and the then Minister for Justice, Alan Shatter, they gave him their full support and they had full confidence in him. But move on to this now. The Fennelly report was set up to deal with allegations that phone calls were, you know, that phone calls between solicitors and their clients were tapped away illegally.
Did he back him into a corner? Was he backed into a corner?
Let's put it this way. Enda Kenny is going around spinning that he has nothing.
Is he very clever, Enda Kenny, really?
Well, you know, I won't use the word clever, but I can tell you this. He only deals in sound bites. He won't do interviews. He kind of...
Maybe that's clever.
Well, it's not clever, really. You know, I mean, he's the only leader that I know in Western Europe who does not do interviews. Every time Enda Kenny, our leader, appears in public or speaks to his subjects, is in a controlled environment. He has spent in excess of €900,000 on spin doctors, advisors, over the last 4 years. He has the same fear of microphones that vampires have of garlic. You know?
Okay, so the result, the report has come out. I mean, nothing's happened. Like
Justice
Fennelly,
so, let's put it.
Nothing's happened.
Well,
so nobody's called for his resignation now.
Let's put it as kindly as I can. Mr. Justice Fennelly was very kind to Enda Kenny in that report. There's no doubting that you know, it brought to mind when I was reading the report. It brought to mind that famous.
Did you read the 600 pages?
Well, it's 290. It's almost 300 pages. When I was reading the report, Áine, it brought to mind that famous line from the Godfather movie. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. It's very, very obvious. I mean, the Irish people are intelligent. I mean, we're not stupid. It's very, very obvious that at the conclusion of that meeting between Brian Purcell and Martin Callanan, that Martin Callanan felt that his position was untenable. Okay. And also, in addition to that, Áine, the fact that Martin Callanan, when he decided to retire, then he asked for 3 months in order to do so. He didn't want to walk away immediately. And the Taoiseach made it clear that he had to go, and he had to go there and then. So, I mean...
Okay, so that's what's happened there. Okay, well, now we know.
The Irish people will digest this report carefully over the next few weeks and months, and they will make their own mind up.
Okay. Now, to get back to local politics, I see this is the time now where the parties are putting their candidates up for elections. Whisperings are going around, John, that you might go as an independent.
Well, I'm attached to no political grouping, and I am going to contest the next general election.
You do know that going up as an independent is really, really, really difficult. You could be flogging yourself.
Well, at the moment, I'm attached to no political grouping, and I have no. I mean,
is that saying there might be an offer in the?
Well, no. I mean, as we speak today, I am a member of no political grouping, and as I said, I have no fear. I mean, I have a lot of.
Would you go up as an independent
I have a number of policies that I will
certainly
put.
Well
I will put forward a number of policies that I believe will benefit society.
Okay, so if a party doesn't, if nobody approaches you,
Well,
will
nobody.
you go, so if they don't, hypothetically speaking, will you go up as an independent?
No, I mean, I am going to contest the election. And
so that's as an independent?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
I mean, as we speak, I'm a member of no political grouping. I mean, I'm a slave to no ideology.
Okay.
Now, I know that...
You're not even, like Lucinda Creighton wouldn't tempt you in any way?
Renewa, although, I mean, I admire...
I was listening to her speaking the other night, and she sounds good, but nobody will give her the credit she deserves.
No, I mean...
Because she's a woman, perhaps,
no, that's rubbish. It's
okay,
not because she's a woman. No, I mean, sorry, I mean, listen, she's... I admire her the principled stand she took in relation to the abortion debate. You know, here we had a politician who would have been potentially, she would have, I believe, been a great chance to replace Enda Kenny as leader of Fine Gael. Now, you know, one must admire her for her stance, for her courageous stance in relation to that matter. But Renewa, as a political party and as a concept, I don't know, they're just another right-wing party on you. I mean, they're no different.
They have no main candidate picked for this area, you know that.
Yeah, well, I have no idea, but I mean, you know, the thing is, in relation to Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, I mean, my background is very, very well known, but the reality is that Fianna Fáil, the principles of the founding fathers of Fianna Fáil got lost along the way, and both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael became nothing more than rent boys for corporate greed. That's a fact.
Okay, John, so that's what you have to say about it now. Okay, let's get back to talking about Cavan and we've got broadband moving in.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
that's great.
Yeah,
eventually,
so that's maybe
not where I live. It's not. It hasn't arrived yet, but whatever.
Okay, so like around the town, it's one of the places in the country that's getting the fastest broadband. Do you think it will anything like bring any more industries or anything?
Well, hopefully, Áine, we have above average levels of unemployment in this area, in the Shannonside Northern Sound region as a whole, Cavan Monaghan. And we have, the lowest take-up of third level education in this constituency, unfortunately so.
Okay, and one can't help but when they are taking a glance through the CELT on a Wednesday that, my goodness, is nobody doing anything, only, drugs and driving cars without insurance and things like that. We seem to have a very high, or maybe it's just the CELT, very high of that kind of not bitty crime. It is crime, but well,
it's there seems to be a breakdown well, I'm not saying total breakdown of law and order, but there are an awful lot of problems. I mean,
they see that, and we don't have enough Gardaí on the beat.
Well, I mean,
although Joe O'Reilly has said there's another infusion of money in for Garda cars. That's great. Hold on. That's good. There's an election coming up, and you must have more Garda cars.
This is Joe O'Reilly, who's a member of Fine Gael, a government party.
Yes,
and who have taken away the dignity from many parts of rural Ireland by closing down Garda stations. The most important weapon that any police service has is knowledge. Knowledge. They have stripped many parts of rural Ireland of its dignity, and that is unforgivable. Post offices are now under threat. You have people living in fear not too far away from where we are here now, right? And when you have a local guard in an area, right, who knows what's going on in the area, and I'm not saying that it's the panacea to all of the problems, but criminals are very, very reluctant, and they'll move on to another area where there's no guard attention to commit their crimes. This government is spin.
Okay, so more Gardaí will be on the street. They're going back into Temple more training going on.
No, that's another. I mean, there's another problem there. I mean, the Garda Reserve. I'm getting all off my chest tonight on you. The Garda Reserve was set up. When it was set up, it was meant to be a gateway into a career in full-time policing for an awful lot of people, right? The recruitment was abandoned there for several years, and it started up recently in Templemore again. Okay, less than a quarter of the current intake of recruits were members of the Garda Reserve. So it's the same old pulling and dragging and stroking to get into the guards that always there.
Okay, so that's it, John. That's
total reform. We need total reform of our justice of our justice system.
Seriously speaking, total reform. You know, what party out there is going to do that? What party out there is going to do that?
Well, we need to change attitudes.
Okay.
You know, the days of we need to change. Well, firstly, we need to change the culture of cute tourism and stroke politics.
Okay,
that
you're not going to
this
do
great
that.
country.
We have an election coming up in 2016, if not before it. We're not going to change cute tourism before that. So
there'll be no election. I mean, I
not
strongly.
Before 2016, the rising.
No, because Andy Kenny wants to be the big statesman outside the GPO. He wants to make his speech outside the GPO.
Well, we'll watch that space, John Wilson.
Okay,
so
I have no doubt. I mean, in front of an invited audience, reading from a prepared script.
We'll check that out. Okay, so that's it, John. Thanks for your opinion. Thanks.
We never mentioned Aisling Brady McCarthy.
Yep.
And can I just say in relation to, I mean, it's going to take some time for that lady to recover from the ordeal that she suffered. I mean, the American justice system, she was very, very lucky in the fact that she had a very, very supportive family, a very, very supportive community. The reality is that calling the American, you know, that including the word justice in the American legal system, it's a perversion of the word justice because, you know what I mean, there is no justice in an awful lot of what transpires in the American justice system. And I have no doubt that, well, I strongly suspect that if Aisling had been a black lady, right, she'd now be doing flipping a life sentence for a crime she didn't commit.
Tonight.
No, thanks be to God.
We'd just like to say that Aisling is back in Ireland.
Thanks be to God, yes.
That we would like to say to our viewers out there that that's good news, and that we do hope that the media and people in general, that they give her and her family the privacy and the respect that they deserve, and leave them with that, and that the media
it'll take her some time. It'll take her some time to get
let
over
her get her senses, and great, and help your community if you're needed to do so, and that's it. Now, for the rest of the evening, I'd just like to say all the very best to Áine Cahill and her band. We did say that in the news beginning, and her band Spam Turner, and they are taking the stage, one of the stages in Electric Picnic, and also the Wolves of Youth, and in that is Louise O'Reilly's brother. So we've got great connections with the Electric Picnic this weekend if you're going to enjoy. That's it for Cavan TV. I'd just like to say thanks to my guest in the studio with me right now, as usual. Great to talk. It's hard to stop him sometimes. John Wilson. Thank you, John.
You do your best.
Thanks for coming in. Yes, I do my best. And to my two previous guests, that's Kim Doherty and to Jackie O'Neill, telling us all about Culture Night next week, and don't miss that. So that's it for the weekend. Great to be back in Cavan TV News and Views. It's the weekend, and do take care.